Hello guys, welcome back to Cassette Confessions. This video we are looking at a it's a video I love and hate. I've been willing to talk about this for a few years. Now the time has finally come to it. Let's get around to it. Children's Playschool Favourites from 1997. Christ, right. I have mixed feelings on this VHS entirely. People will probably know if I've commented about this compilation on YouTube comments. Maybe I've been roasting it. I've been dissing it and that sort of thing. But I think let's give it some more. Give it some more hammer. Let's go through this. So, where do we begin with this? Back in 1992 and up until 1995, the video collection released these compilations, which are preschool compilations that were exclusive to Woolworths, and they're basically just like for buying more of the VHSs, really, because they included pound vouchers within. I think for the first two, in 92 and 93, there was like you have a voucher as £1 off. Then in 94 and 95, you have £4 off, which is escalated quickly. Then afterwards, it sort of disappeared afterwards. They expect people more. I think some people probably expect, there might be one in 96. Actually, there wasn't. In its place, there was the, I think there was the My Little Range that sort of was there really just to give us a substitute, really. Either that or they didn't have any stuff in the pipeline. They might have done, but nothing was ever came into that year of 96. Interestingly, that Children's Preschool Favourites from 95 is actually the last VHS that actually was released by the video collection before they basically remodeled themselves as VCI. They're interesting. They are quite interesting to obtain because it basically, the promo videos in a way just shows you excerpts of different types of shows, really, but roughly between the eight or nine shows on there. And they have a bit of interesting variety because you had stuff like from 92, you had Topsy and Tim, and obviously you had Brum, of course, Thomas Tanner and Friends, Rosie and Jim, Sooty, either via Learn with Sooty or Sooty and Co. That tends to be one that tends to pop up actually a few times. I think the main three shows that were mainly included were Thomas Tanner and Friends, obviously, Rosie and Jim, and Sooty. They were the ones that were basically heavily included in all the releases. And again, things like people having faith in, like with Rosie and Jim and Sooty, more especially with Thomas Tanner and Friends, big success, of course, major success. So has to be included on all them at the time. In those times, they're quite interesting. Some of them are quite hard to find these days. It depends on the price you find on eBay or find it cheap or whatever. You'll find them in charity shops, really. So yeah, and they sort of fizzled out towards the mid-90s when VCI came along. The My Little Range came up. I think, like I said, mentioned before, tree size tape, just added a bit of variety to it, and it did so well. I did cover it back, maybe a few videos ago. And we come to 1997. Now at this point, I think no one was expecting this to come along. And right. I'm trying to think of any ways to think about this because it's a very divisive VHS. The most divisive VHS I run in my collection, the one I've had for many years. I've had this for years. I've had this. When did this come out? This came out like in May. This did. So I probably had this most of my life, really. This compilation. It's a bit of a sin. This one. And it's always like I do own this, quite shockingly. And I am just quite. Heavily mixed up. More towards the negatives with this one. But let's go for this. Let's go for the advantages, like the positives on this thing. The cover's nice. A nice bubble motif. I really enjoy this actually, with the characters like sort of fading in and stuff, that sort of thing. It's a lovely design. Very nicely done. And inside you have the inlay, which is a nice catalogue, which they did do with the preschool collection. The only problem is it's only just like other titles you find in other stores, really. There's no vouchers in this one, unfortunately. Well, they never did. They never advertised, or you might get £1 off or £4 off when you buy these VHSs. In actual fact, it's basically, asking you to buy these these videos which are sort of include, well, most of them are included on this compilation, excerpt compilation, and and some stuff's been released here and there really, but you have to pay the full price for them. I think like $7.99. I think around that time, maybe, is it, or a bit less. I'm not entirely sure what price range people Woolworths were doing, or any of the shops were doing with these ones anyway. All the ones that have been advertised. Who knows? Yeah. That's really about it, really. Negatives. It's short. It's bloody short. It runs for about less than 40 minutes. In total, I think people have uploaded, and it's about 38 minutes, or 39. It just, it's. I've seen better compilations that maybe run for about half an hour. Preschool Fun Time is one of them, and that's sort of goes by. It depends on its content though, because it's reached by tempo video, so that's sort of doable. With this one, having like best shows on here, you picked out the best ones, and you pick 7 of these, and it's basically just short. It's just short. It goes by in a flash. It does. That's another thing. There's 7 shows. There's nothing new. Well, there's not really new on this one either, because you had bits and pieces elsewhere, really. And oh boy, yeah. I've been dreading this video, really. I've been interested to do it, but also been dreading as well, because I've been, it's been in my life. Right. Without further ado, let's go for the content of this one. So there's only 7 shows to go through, but it's quite interesting bits and pieces. So first of all, is Thomas Sancho and Friends. Open up with Thomas and the Special Letter. Now, it's a great story. I like this story. It's a favourite of mine from Series 4. The only sort of newish episode of the show, believe it or not, because I didn't have the video it comes from is Story and Song Collection, which is from 96, from about a year ago. Actually, a year ago, actually. So since I was releasing it, basically just plonking on this compilation. It's a nice VHS, by the way. It's Story and Song Collection I didn't get until maybe a couple of years after. I don't know. I got from a narrow gauge railway, actually, believe it or not, from somewhere. Narrow gauge railway somewhere. Going from there. But it's a good episode, because the Series 4 stuff I briefly showed was only just bits and pieces from Thomas the String and 17 No Stories and Thomas and Stempling, and that's about it, really. So having that included was lovely. Different episode. It comes from a VHS that I never actually owned, even though it's advertised in the inlay, but I never got it until maybe a few years later or something. But I like it. It's a good story. Interesting. Great special effects, good direction, good model working as well, so it's brilliant. That's good. Next up we've got is Nursery Play Rhymes. Oh, for God's sakes. Elizabeth Watts. I can't stand her. I really can't stand that woman. There is something it's cringy as well, because she's around children for some reason, and she doesn't look like she exists, believe it or not. But really, believe it or not, I don't know. It's just how she looks and how she acts. Really, it's just like I really can't get behind the whole thing. And the kids, in actual fact, the kids are a bit reckless in some places. If you look at, they tend to go to. It's on a fake set. If you watch this, this actually comes from a video from 1992 or 93. So it's a video collection product from the early 90s, and they somehow just plonked it on here for some strange reason. Rather than go for something entirely different, like Teddy Bear Sing Along, which bear in mind is actually a little bit of a blessing, but fair enough. I mean, the set's a bit tacky. It's very tacky. I can say it's an early nice production. The kids are just looking at this fake window. I think they're sort of proving that it's fake and stuff like that. And it's like they're breaking the fourth freaking wall in this thing. It's like in that little bit of an excerpt, doing like I'm a teapot and Frere Jacques and all that sort of stuff. It's like, fuck me. It's a good thing it's over, because I don't know. It keeps carrying on afterwards. It's like. I just can't stand that woman, really. Ugh. God. She did the voice as well of Mims, I think, as well. I think I'm have to say she did the voice. She didn't do the actual thing, of course. Being stuffed in a teddy bear suit on a set around kids. No, she just did the voice, I think, along with Gary Martin. And a famed voice actor who's done stuff for the UK stuff. and maybe a bit of US as well. So fair enough. But that nursery playgrounds, forget that. Let's skip over that now. Bloody hell. Next up we go is Sooty & Co. My introduction to Sooty. This has probably been my introduction to Sooty anyway, really. It's a bit half-assed in this edit, actually. Its story's called Sue's Babies. It's from the bumper Little Shop of Mischief. It's actually the first story on it. And it's the controversial story that actually made a sort of, I don't know, like a top 100 or top 50 controversial programs list for Channel 4 back in the early 2000s. Basically when Sue pretends that she is pregnant. I'm quite surprised. Well, I'm quite surprised they never include that bit in, like, you know, like they never include that scene when she found, like, she stuffs a pillow underneath her dress, and Matthew's sort of panicking and that sort of thing. It's like that was never included. That would have been quite interesting. A bit startling for parents. You think, oh Jesus Christ, and then they turn off and they just eject the video of the video player. But no, basically we just got you know, Matthew showing off pets, of course, like kittens and puppies, and really very much like underneath the bed and everything else. It's a bit, not this sort of, it's all right. It's not the best excerpt anybody off the show. You can't really represent stuff. Well, it deals with babies, but it's nothing to do much. But it's just there, really, you know. But again, well, they've always short. The Sooty Express was short anyway, so what to expect? But overall, it's a decent one. I think I watched it maybe. Sue's Baby many years afterwards when I found YouTube, or maybe years later, maybe a few years ago. I don't know, really, because it's a bit hard to find. Really, I think you have like VHS rips on archive.org or something like that. You know, around somewhere, maybe. Who knows? That's really about it, really. Sooty & Co. Sue's Baby is just an excerpt about talking about puppies and kittens, and Scamper trying to feed them with wrong food and stuff like that. You know. Next up we got is Brum. Brum and the Flood. First time talking about Brum as well. This is another introduction to Brum as well. I never talked about Brum before on Cassette Confessions yet, so he will be coming. There's a video coming along the way, actually. But my introduction to here, it's a great, fantastic series, fantastic show. The first two series are great. Even though I'm more in tune with the second series because I'm more familiar with it, you know. This is the fourth appearance with Brum, of course. He had two full episodes from the very first series, of course, from the 92, 93 editions of these compilations. He got another one on the 95 edition, just an excerpt of Brum and the Big Chase. Then we got Brum and the Flood. Fantastic story, but I mentioned this in my Path of Nostalgia video of the show, and you know I mentioned it. It's just like, you know, yeah, it sort of opens as you open a Brum episode, and it's just like. You know, just like, you know, and how it ends. If it's all the exit finishes when he goes down to sewage. You see his front. It's like close up with his headlights and everything else. And it just goes down. That's the end of it, really. I was quite happy that I found out. Well, I'm quite pleased that the BBC actually repeated it, like in the very early 2000s. Actually, played it on television, so I actually managed to watch the full episode, and I thought it was great. But that excerpt just sort of like, you know, just gives me bad memories of it. Like you know. I wanted to see more of it, and I thought it might appear at the end of the video. Sadly, I was proven wrong, because it you know, you go through all that and you think, you know, some more of these might come, you know, more of this footage. It didn't, so I was very gutted then as a very young kid in the 90s and 2000s, really. Yeah, it's just like, you know, probably worst time ever. It's like you expected that to be at the end. It wasn't. What a load of shite. Oh, good. Right. So, well, it's a good story, you know. Series 2 is always a good season. Anyway, people are always saying Series 2 is the best season out there. It is good. Series 1 has good moments as well. It does, really. I think from Series 3 onwards, it's like, don't know. That's really about it with Brum, really. It's a good story. It comes from the Little Drummer Boy VHS from Master 5, which is the transition. It's the first Brum VHS to feature the VCI ident, which is that transition period from 95, really. So I always wanted that, actually. I actually held it in the Ragdoll shop many years ago. I didn't get it, though, sadly. I remember, I don't know, when I was in Morecambe once. I saw it at a cancer research shop, maybe, or the spine of it, but I never actually. I might have past it like a blink of an eye or something like that. That sort of hangs around my memory a little bit, that does, but I never eventually, unfortunately, got it, really, you know. It would have been interesting, actually, to own that, but I don't know, really. Shame, really. You know. Anyhow. Anyway, that's Brum, really. Brum and the Flood. I did manage to see it at the end, of course. You can watch the full VHS of Little Joe and Boy on YouTube anyway, so fair enough. Next up we've got is Tot's video. Now, this is sort of the newish thing, really. This is sort of a new thing, this is, really. Educational video. It's like in the vein of Rosie, Learn to Rosie and Jim and Sooty and that sort of thing, really. So it's the Tot's version of it, really. They only did about 4, really, but it's Animal Adventures. The only scene of it is Tilly, Tom and Tiny getting Noah's Ark out at the college. They trip over a log and everything flies away. Then Tiny finds one of the pigs, of course. Then he cuts to a pig eating and said, "Oh, lovely piggy." And that's it. Probably one of the weaker episodes. It's one of the stranger, weaker excerpts of the VHS. It's like, it doesn't go anywhere. And it's just like, there's some weird narration of a pig eating straw. And that's it. It's just, oh, God. I just can't believe it, really. Well, that's a bit of a strange wasted potential in that sort of VHS front, really, on that one, representing Tot's video. Unfortunately. But that's on there. Animal Adventures, I think it came out in 96. That did. Did it? 197? No. I think early 95 that came out, actually. No, late 95, I'm sorry, with ABC. Was it late or early 96? I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those things, like it's early stuff, really. You know, early. Sort of in those, it's in the infant, it's in those infant releases of VCI at the time. Yeah. First time, and that's actually been first released by VCI back in the day for Tot's video and stuff like that. So it's quite a bit of an eye opener for people, really. Next up, we've got Rosie and Jim, Acrobats. This comes from the video of the same name from 96. This actually came from late 96, this does. It's quite decent, actually, because it's from this 4th series from Pat Hutchins' 2nd season. They go to a Chinese circus and they see all sorts of stuff. It's quite interesting, actually, because nicely, decently filmed it is. And of course, you know, they basically mess around with Duck, of course, try and pull him through a hoop. He ends up at a tree. And yes, and it's decent enough. Short as well. It just goes on for about 5 minutes or so, and it's like it's gone, really. Ends with a quack, of course, one of Duck's quacks, of course. Excuse me, just drawing on my phone. It's a bit warm, that's all. But overall, it's decent. It is, you know, like Rosie and Jim, of course, and you know, they're interesting return. Well, my introduction to Rosie and Jim, actually, of course, Tot's TV, Brum, and Sooty as well. So quite interesting, really. Considering that was released in May 97, this VHS, yeah. And then finally, we end up with The Wind and the Willows, my introduction to the TV series, my introduction to David Jason as well. This is Mercury the Motorbicycle. This actually comes from a VHS, which is My Bumper Fun and Games, released in 1997. I think actually, just like around the same time as this, actually, maybe a few days after. Well, I think the bumper special was released a few days before this, actually. So yeah, but it does beg a question. It does, which I'll get into, actually. And this will probably lead into the next one. This does. In fairness, it's a good show, Wind of the Willows. I absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant. You know, it's a series. It's a show that's always been lingering around in the back of my mind. I always remember it. I do. Well, partly I do, because it's been many years since I watched it. I only watched it sort of like maybe a few years ago. Yeah, so Mercury Motorbicycle. It is. In fairness, it's one of my favourite episodes. It is, you know, and of course, introduction, of course, quite interestingly. Yes, enough said. There's only 7 shows on there. Most of them are like some stuff you are familiar with, really. There's no new stuff on this. Quite a shame. And in fairness, it's basically VCI's cash grab, really. It's just, you know, again, it's promoting stuff, but it's a cash grab. Like, you buy this VHS, and it's like in the inlay, you get VHSs released between 95 and 97. It's like, you know, they basically have to, you know, I probably mentioned this in comments and stuff. It's basically they want more cash from the parents. They do. This is the only compilation they've actually ever done, and surprisingly, it didn't work out. If you look, it's absolute shite. You know, apart from the cover, the inlay, and the Thomas episode that's included, well, anything else with that is just like, you know, it's this excerpt and it's a bit pointless, really. And some of the excerpts they actually edited together are quite bland and pointless and a bit dire. If you rewatched it, you think, I thought I watched something totally different. I didn't expect this to be so meandering, and it's like, and half the episodes, it's just halfly chopped. I've had this for years. It'll still be in the collection always, because it's an early VHS I've owned for years. Right, I'm done here. I've been talking about children's Playschool favourites from 1997. Got that off my chest, finally, thank God. No more talking about it. I've berated it long enough in comments and hinted at in a few videos for the past, 2 years. It's finally done and over, thank God. Oh, thank God. I'm very pleased that VC I've never done a compilation ever again. You know, because what they come out with this is just like, it's a dead horse. Thank you for watching. As always, I'll see you in the next video, and goodbye.